Sock Connection!
Okay. All right. So
to be off the table for this.
we had a hell of a time getting this going, but I think we're gonna make it work. We got one mic going on a little binaural pattern or something. I wonder if this is gonna sound like we're in each other in different ears. You know, like you're.
I hope it's ASMR. That's what
I don't think this mic is good enough to do that, but
we'll find out.
Anyway, this is the Rock and Sock Connection. I'm Ethan.
I'm Shane.
Ethan and Shane. The Rock and Sock Connection has a long and storied history. But I guess, well, my first topic here, because I printed out a list of topics. You can hear it there. You can't look at them, Shane.
Oh, man, I want to know. I want to know.
They gotta
what does the future hold?
You can't.
I can't cheat.
No. I mean, I just feel like I want to get your fresh, hot takes. Because some of this has, like, the directions I want the conversation to go in, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to. Also, I feel like we just watched...
Is that a plane? Yeah, that's a plane. We're at war, people. We're at war.
I wonder if that's... I imagine this is going to pick that up. I have to gain a lineup. That's okay. This is just a test episode. I mean, I feel like all of our answers to this are going to be really highly warped by the fact that we just watched like 15 episodes of Naruto. But I don't know. I mean, like, we might just cross all this out and talk about Naruto because I feel like we had a lot to say. But anyway, Rock and Sock Connection. I think, you know, the basic gist of that was that we had a high school radio show 10 years ago, 9 years ago. I mean, I guess it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's just about to be 10 years ago now.
I mean, even longer, because what year did we do it? Were
Actually, no, you're right. But that was 11th?
I think that was 11th grade, because I took broadcasting when I was in 10th grade. So it was 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. We had a morning radio show, air quotes. It was. I always describe it.
It was
to people.
Loosely.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly. It was the announcements, but It
was like military propaganda radio.
It kind of was. We produced it, and we had... It was John Grande's idea, right?
Yes, I do believe he originated the name. I feel like you guys were kind of spearheading. You were more of the technical aspect to it. He was more of the face of the group, and then everybody else kind of fell into their niches.
And I think we definitely will get John Grande.
Oh, dude, that would be amazing. If
I mean, John does a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube. So I think we can get him in here because I have genuinely no idea what it means. I have no idea.
When did you last see him?
I see him pretty often. He lived next door to me.
Oh,
when I lived
that's
with my
right.
parents, so I would see him around town.
Mm-hmm. He's a great guy, man. He's like he literally was the face of the group. He was just always.
He's a showman. He's definitely a showman. He always was.
Bubbly, really good guy. Like, you could just talk to him about anything, and he'd be so interested in it. I remember one day I walked up to him outside of Ralph's, and I was like, "Hey, I was one of the guys that, like, used to, work the soundboard in the group." And he's like, "Oh my God, it's been so long." And at that point, it was like 4 years after.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I still have like all the audio files if you want them." He's like, "Really?" So I just gave him like all the files I had of all the sound recordings, all the scripts we had written.
Oh, we should intertwine some of those into here.
That would be cool.
Just to hear it. I mean, I can't even remember what our jingle was for that.
Ethan,
Shane,
Nick,
John,
and John Grande.
And that makes the Rock
and Sock
Connection.
Bringing you all the news, this is the Rock and Sock Connection, live from WMHS.
But
we had some good ones, man. We had some
dude, I listened to like old broadcasting jingles that I used to make, and I was like, these are really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like we were like, I mean, especially some of the ones that we made where we were like fucking around so much. Like, it was pretty. Like, I was laughing at them, and I was like, I mean, I guess it was made for my humor, honestly.
Like, well, I mean, that's what it was. It's like just the high school dumb kid humor is just ingrained in all those commercials that we made.
Yeah.
Just because we were like given free reign and there was little, teacher control really. As long as you weren't cursing, that's really all they asked for. So from there, we got some good stuff, I think, made.
We had one, I don't think we ever aired it, but we
oh boy.
There were because there were like curses that we bleeped out in them, and I was like, I doubt they actually let us use that for anything. Unless I think we may have just used it for like an in-class project.
Mm-hmm.
Massapequa High School, a place of good music or lyrical treachery. Ethan Sousa on the scene.
In the wake of the second quarter, many Massapequa High School students are finding it ever harder to get to their first period class. What usually saves them? The songs in the morning. But when those songs aren't great, what happens? Our senior art and literary correspondent and Massapequa Broadcasting student Nicole K. Orris, however the you say it, has this to say.
Normally I don't mind. This morning's song was okay, but it could have been better.
When confronting the group leader of the infamous Tuesday group, he had this to say.
You know what I think?
Further comment was not obtained. Tomahawk talent Justin McGowan had this to say about the songs.
It could be a little...
He's currently being held at gunpoint. Answer incorrectly.
Oh, they're great. I love those songs. Thank you, Justin McGowan.
More in the story as it develops. This is Ethan Sousa signing off.
So I had a question on here that... Do you ever watch Star Trek?
I'm more of a Star Wars guy.
Yeah, I don't watch Star Trek, so I don't even know why
I won't
would say that,
disrespect the Trekkies by any means.
I feel like anytime I do something that is like a sequel, I call it The Next Generation.
Okay.
They have like Star Trek The Next Generations, and in all my notes for this, I was calling it The Rock and Sock Connection, The Next Generation. But is this The Next Generation, or is this just the...
No, this would be
this
like...
is the...
this would be a reunion of sorts.
That is true. I guess in Star Trek, they're probably referring to the next generation of people, and I also haven't seen it. So
now, if we had kids, that would make sense if it's the next generation taking over for Rock and Sock Connection. I could see that being the case. One of us has to be Rock, the other one has to be Sock at this point.
This is actually a good segue into what I'm going to talk about next, but I took the title of the show and put it into an AI image generator. I don't even think I wrote The Rock and Sock Connection. I think I just wrote Rock and Sock Connection, and it gave me a picture of Dwayne The Rock Johnson and his like anthropomorphized sock friend, and
when you sent me that, you sent all 3 pictures that you generated, and from there, the first one was The Rock that popped up. I'm like, wow, this is the future. The future is now. You can just do these things on the fly.
And it looks pretty good.
It does look really good.
I actually like and after it gave me 2 that were like Dwayne The Rock Johnson looking type characters. So I gave it another prompt saying, don't put in characters. And that gave me this like honestly really psychedelic image of like rocks and socks like flying through the sky, which is kind of what I thought it was going to be originally. Like when it just showed me, like when I typed in rock and sock, and it gave me like The Rock and a sock. I was like, that's...
I turned to my coworker when I got the pictures. I was like, this kind of annoys me that this is something that he definitely just like had generated in 2 seconds. He sent it to me, and I'm like, I've met artists that have told me the years of their craft and how it took them to get to this point. And just watching a computer just do that in 2 seconds, it's just like, it's crazy how fast technology grows. From even when we were back in high school.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for what was available then, just in terms of the computers we were on and all that, to now, you can just generate pictures of anything you want, really, no matter what it is.
I actually really want to know, like, there's like a little guy in the corner.
There's a little guy in the corner?
Not a little guy, just like a dude that's like, I don't know who that is.
I thought you were like giving it a prompt for yourself, and that was supposed to be you in like a cartoon form.
No, I don't think so. Although I do it like there's a bunch of characters on here, but he is like very prominent.
Let me take a look at this guy.
Very prominent. I actually do really like the other one where it's like an anime like panel, but then like this muscly guy that isn't The Rock is like with like a sock, and they're like doing the connection. Like I always kind of I was like,
it's a little weird.
What is the connection? Well, what's really weird about it is that like his hand
it
doesn't have a terminus on either side. It's like it's not really connected to him.
Right.
But I do like the like posing. That's
I like the idea that that's both of us. Like, the one that's facing the camera is you, the one that's facing towards...
Oh, but, like, the guy on the bottom is also punching in, and he's, like, clipping through the sock.
Yeah.
But this is, like, 2D line art, so, like, why is that happening? It's so weird. It's so funny. I come across AI a lot in my job, since I do stuff with graphics. What I want to know is what you, Shane, do you use AI in your day-to-day life? Do you use it at work? Do you use it?
No. So it's funny because I have coworkers that have been telling me to start using it to generate like resumes and things like that. And for me, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to rely on something like that. Even though that I should change with the times, I guess, to make things a little bit easier for myself. When it comes to my job, I work in a doctor's office handling messages and things like that, where you kind of need to have a human touch to it. Yeah. And you can't really have things be black and white, where like we even have a list of like what we call red flag words. So it's like you can't have a system just look at a sentence and then say, oh, well, we're looking for red flag words. There's times where somebody may not say that they're having chest pain, but that it's alluding to it. And then
so there's just like, they're like cues to
yeah,
stuff.
it's almost like a cue, even though I'm told that if it's on the list, it's a red flag. There's more nuance to it. There's more, fine detail.
I mean, yeah, and I imagine you can't really, like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what, like, your day-to-day stuff is, but, like, I imagine there's a bit more nuance that you can't just be, like, using these things to generate, like... I do use it. It's good for programming. Before, you would just type in what you're looking for and just find, like, the documentation online. This just sifts through the documentation and usually spits it up at you. It's usually not wrong. Maybe sometimes it'll, like, have something that's a little, like, not efficient, but it's usually not wrong. But, like, I mean, I don't use it for emails. I don't know any... Like, people were always saying that. I'm like... I feel like if I was going to give the... ChatGPT enough information to write the email, I'd just write the email.
Yeah, I saw that's what my coworker was saying, was that they would use it for emails and then use it for resumes, and it was just, they said it made things way better, it looked better, it sounded better, it's, so all of that stuff together, I think, was that, she kept saying, she's just like, just use it. It's going to eventually be what everybody uses, so it's, at one point or another, we're all going to start doing it.
I've used it for cover letters. I feel like it does help, but it needs a lot of editing. I mean, like, it depends. I feel like I have a lot of specific stuff that I want to bring in my cover letters, so that makes it complicated. I feel like maybe if you have a little bit more of a traditional career where you just, like, in general have a lot of typical industry experience in what you're doing, it could be pretty helpful. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't found it to be wildly useful. It's crazy how it's in fucking, like, everything.
It is.
It's really being in every single program I use every day. And I will say it does have generally useful applications in my job. Like, being able to just generate stock imagery, like, sucks for people who took stock images. Kind of is, like, terrible that it's, like, ruining that field, but, like, it is really useful. And being able to, like, do, like, the generative expands on images, that's honestly been really helpful. But, like, I don't know, whenever I'm, like, generating, like, I'm always like, yeah, like, this is the image that I was requesting, I guess, but it wasn't really what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's such an infancy now, even though it's advanced so much in the last couple of years, especially the last 2 years, I'd say. I feel like it's been a really big uptick in commercials talking about AI, companies talking about AI. We have a billboard that some company put up that literally says, don't hire people now, hire computers. And it's just like the world is slowly turning towards that. Not dystopian, but, very scary future where people are just going to start having computers take over for what they're doing.
Oh, it's wild, man. Like, but honestly, just like at this, like, I'm so along for the ride with the future. I feel like there's so much, like, resistance that people put into these things, and it's like I'm sort of the mindset that it's just like there's not really, like, much that can be done. Right. Like,
it's an eventuality.
It
will happen sooner, or later. It's either ride or die, move with it, and then that's just how life works. Look at how life was different back in the 90s versus now.
It's the perfect thing for the stock market because it's just the perfect product that, like, doesn't really actually do anything, but it's exciting. Right. So people, like, totally go for it.
It's a buzzword.
Yeah, and it looks really impressive. Yeah. Because that's the whole thing about AI. Is it's creating, like, from people who understand how it works more have explained it to me, it's creating, like, a median. It's like taking the bell curve of possible solutions and picking the middle one. So that's why it always just gives you, like, a generic, like, bullshit ass thing, because that's how those networks work. And but showing that to someone who's just, like, they're just, like, someone who, like, is, like, some, like, VC bro or something, they're just like, oh, perfect, looks like I can replace people or whatever.
Yeah, I think people are also just a little too reactive when it comes to that stuff as well. It's either, if you don't understand it, they freak out, or if they do understand it, they'll just be like, this is it. This is exactly what we need to fix everything that's wrong in the world. And it's like, it's not really, that's not really going to fix all the problems of the world, but it definitely will help, especially in the medical field now, where I see them implementing AI software and algorithms to detecting cancers and all that stuff that, is coming out now, especially now that we're realizing how much plastic and stuff is causing all that. So it's good to have these systems that are in place now that are getting better and better at what they do to tell us that,
Yeah, like isn't there that whole thing where it's like finding cancer and
Yeah.
stuff and doing all those things and folding proteins?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, time to refer to our sponsor, OpenAI. Thanks, OpenAI and Sam Altman. But yeah, no, I've been reading this book called it's called Cache Lake Country. It's just about this dude in like the 40s, and he's hired. I thought it was much earlier in time, but he mentions like radios at some point. He was just a dude in the 40s who worked for a timber company, and they sent him up into like the northern like parts of Canada, and he just lives like on this lake and kind of like surveys the land. And there's like this Indian chief that lives nearby him, and then there's also later this guy who's like a wildlife photographer comes, and they all just kind of like chill in like the country, and like they have to, every once in a while like a plane comes in and brings them like supplies, but like other than that they usually just like build everything and like make everything. It's so interesting how
just
like,
live off the land type.
that like it wasn't that long ago that like that was like, I mean, obviously that wasn't, he constantly is talking about the cities in the book, and it's like, obviously that's a very like,
Well, it's like a fish out of water type of
I mean
story.
he's out like in the country, like and even when it's like 80 years ago it was even more country. But I just think about that all the time, how like there's that whole disconnected way of life.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and listen, like my cousin has a house upstate that when I go there, I just feel different. Like I just feel like more with nature, and if birds just started sitting on my shoulders, it just feels right. That's just, what going out into nature is. And, and especially now this, with us needing technology more and more nowadays, and like I'm even catching myself being on my phone more, I think now is more of a time that people should be going to out to the country, open fields, beautiful places. Think of all the wonderful places, and even in just the United States, they can go to the Grand Canyon and just, and just look and see all the beauty of the world, and rather than looking at it behind a screen, it's like there's just so much out there that I think with AI, I think in a way people are going to start forgetting how beautiful people can be, and like what they do and the artwork they do, and just the beauty it is to be a person, where it's like machines are going to do that.
And I mean, just the world is drastically becoming, not even just in the digital space, but it's just like becoming more filled with humans, unfortunately.
Right.
Not unfortunately, but to the detriment of what makes the world really cool, which is like just like the natural other plane. I wonder if these are, I mean, probably is.
I hope these actually are showing up in there.
Yeah, a little ambiance. But I was up in the Catskills, and one, to your point, like we were camping in a valley, which is actually very nice because we had no cell service in the valley for the whole weekend we were there. And it was like, if we truly needed cell service, like it was a quick drive, or honestly, like we could theoretically hike it out of there if we needed to. But just being the fact that our like base camp was in the valley and you just had no cell service there was pretty nice. I'd love to move to a dumb phone. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Not that I would necessarily want to buy like just like a flip phone, but like they make like specific like e-reader phones, or like
I've seen those before.
Just like dumbed down like smartphones.
I will like move apps around on my phone so that way I stop like just muscle memory opening those apps up, and my brain keeps doing it without me realizing. Like that, I move it to a new location, and then it's just like, oh, YouTube's over on the 4th page now. I'm just gonna instantly swipe over there and click it. It's like I gotta stop doing that. It's so bad.
I remember I was up camping and I saw like, I was in Catskill Park, and there was like a warning sign about bears, and it was like, there are 450 bears in Catskill Park, and I was like, that's like kind of sad. Yeah. Like that's not a lot.
No,
like it's a pretty big like.
Think about how many. I want to know like the max amount of like. I would love to see the statistics of animal populations from just around that time. If we had exact numbers that we could get, and there's like 50,000 bears at the time in like one area or something like that.
I mean, there used to be buffalo in Buffalo, but there aren't anymore. I mean, that's like, I was listening to this other book like a year ago, and he was talking about like the amount of biomass in the world that's like wild animals compared to like humans and domesticated animals. It's like a fraction of a percent. It's really like most animals in the wild, like they know about them. Like usually like there's so few of them that they just like, ecologists like have them like tagged and like follow up on them and stuff. I met this girl in fucking Austria. She was from Canada, and she did like bird research.
Okay.
So she would put up nets in the woods.
Nets in the woods.
Yeah, she put up nets in the woods to catch the birds, and then they catch the birds. They'd just like
Tag 'em.
take a little blood, like do some tags just to like check in on them. And she was like, certain birds would be like accurate down to the year to the same net.
Is there like
she would
schooling for that? Like, what's like the qualifications? to
Oh, I mean,
become-
she was probably some like environmental science major or something. But yeah, she would say like she'd set up the same net in the same spot the same year, and like at the same day she would go and check it, and she'd be like, it's fucking Fred again or whatever, you know?
Oh, yeah,
like
starts naming
she
all of
finds
them.
the same
That's
bird from
funny.
the same year. She's like, they just really know, and he talks about it in that book that I was reading. Actually, he talks about how he's like the bird. He's like, yeah, I'd like find he'd like befriend these birds, and then they'd go migrate south for winter, and then come back up, and then he'd be like, oh, you're back.
Those movement patterns, I've noticed or I've heard recently that because of the rapid changes with the temperature, that bugs aren't, hatching in the time frames they are. So it's causing a lot of birds to shift patterns and move to different places just because of the fact that these bugs aren't hatching in the time frame they're supposed to be. So a lot of these birds are starving.
Oh, I bet, yeah, like the weather patterns.
Yeah.
Like the seasons aren't like very like sometimes like we had a really cold spring just now in New
Right.
York. And I mean that's a whole big thing that he was talking about in the book. He was like they need to time when they come up, right? Because if they come up too early, then there's no food.
Right.
But if they come up too late, they might
Then there's nothing left.
or there might be or their territories might be taken over by other birds. So it's interesting. We're running out of battery here on the laptop, so I want to open the floor to you if you got any topics you wanted to cover.
On a completely side note,
Yeah, no, we can drastically turn away from our dystopian future.
I was looking to speak about GTA 6 and just more so the future of gaming and where hype is involved and things like that.
Do you think we can do that in 5 minutes?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think we can do that quick.
Let me just double check what kind of estimate this is, because I don't want this to die and not. Okay, it says we had 23 minutes, but I don't believe that. So
All right, we'll cut it to 10. We'll call it 10.
we're already almost at half an hour. So
Yeah.
let me hear. Let me hear your piece.
When it comes to GTA, the second trailer had dropped recently, and now that the world has seen thus far what's being built for this, how do you feel about the future of gaming and when it comes to hype? And will there be eventually a ceiling, so to speak, where graphics don't matter as much anymore, or just simply, it's not really exciting anymore because we're reaching a sort of peak of gaming and just in general?
Yeah, I mean I will say I haven't watched the GTA trailer. As I mentioned, I don't like watching trailers because they spoil the game that you're going to pay money to play.
True.
Or more so with movies, but games
That's true.
too.
I
Like,
think the movie.
I don't
thing
want to.
has
I don't
definitely
want
done
to
more.
be like blue balled. Like, and I feel like trailers are just like, oh, you want this?
Well, they're made to entice you. So a lot of
Exactly,
times, like talking about trailers, back when Halo 5 had come out, that was one of the biggest ad campaigns that was fake and that didn't have to do with the story of the game, but it was so drastically different that they basically had a team that was not involved with making Halo make these trailers and had nothing to do with the game at all.
Oh yeah,
in
I
terms of
mean
what happened.
that's a lot of TV and movie trailer or movie trailers at least. They hire a separate company to do it, who's doing it in tandem with the editing, so
Right.
they don't actually know what the movie's about.
Right.
They just have a bunch of footage.
Exactly.
But I've seen bits and pieces of the GTA 5 trailer or GTA 6 trailer. I will say with that, it looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it looked really good. I feel like every time, it really is the true thing. Like, people back in the day, they say like, they'll talk about like fucking like Tomb Raider Run. They'll be like, I didn't think it could look better than
Right.
this. But like, I feel like, I don't know, I guess I kind of felt like games were starting to get like, I don't know that it can look better than this.
getting
And-
stale, so to speak. I'd say.
And then I saw the GTA 6 trailer and I was like, oh wow, that really does just look like footage.
And nowadays, just with everything,
Is that in engine? Is that in game, or is that?
Yes, I mean they can always claim it is, but it could always
Yeah,
be some,
and they can be playing it on like
the
super,
nicest
super
people,
good
right?
hardware.
Quantum computers they could be playing on, and then
Yeah,
it would be the same. It would be that. So
I mean, even like not to go back to AI, but like at some point, like who's to say that we're not just gonna get real time like photorealistic AI generated video games? I mean, I almost wonder like how much how much generative like processing they're using and like the shaders and stuff now. But getting back to hype, like, I don't know. I've always been someone who, like, doesn't buy games when they come out because I do think that, like, the gaming industry is honestly pretty predatory onto people towards,
that's
like,
true.
getting them to buy stuff when it comes out.
Right. Pre-order bonuses, you know, collector's editions, deluxe editions, all that.
And because you get they so consistently do go on sale, you just have to like wait until they start to get into their sale cycle, which I will admit can sometimes be not worth it just to save $10. But I always felt that like because in college I didn't really play many video games at all, and then I bought a PS4 towards the end of college, which was like a year before the PS5 was coming out. But I was just playing all these PS4 games and I was like, these are great. Like I was like, I've never played The Last of Us. I was like, I didn't know what video games looked like anymore that weren't like Minecraft or like.
I think that
games.
was the final generation that really had me be like, holy cow, this is the future of gaming. Like I remember buying, like you said, I got my PS4 back when it came out, and then from there I just was playing Killzone and all these games, and the graphics were crazy. The controller had a touchpad. Like, that was insane to me. That was not something that you had before that. You know, it's all like, it's just awesome that those games were coming out with at the time, because you felt like you could look forward to them, and the hype was there. You know, this is like the Marvel movies. The hype was there. You know it was going to be good, whatever it was, even if it was some small indie game company that came out.
That was another thing. I didn't watch any of the Marvel movies when they came out. I ended up.
That's crazy.
I've never seen. I have such a disjointed understanding of the Marvel movies because I watched all of them out of order and definitely have missed a bunch of them. But like, I have the general plot, what's going on.
The general idea of what's going on.
I think I may have watched Endgame before Infinity War. I'm not exactly.
See, that's
sure
crazy.
Yeah, that might not be true. I think I did get exposed to some of those, but I definitely watched a lot of them out of order. And I remember just being with people, I'd be like, I was like,
I mean, it is
really. They were good though. That first run, like I remember like watching Endgame with like our friends, and like I was like, okay,
I do feel bad for
cool.
people that were going in, and like, if you weren't there from the start, like, because I was there since Iron Man. Like, I watched that movie 1,000 times before it even became a Marvel franchise. And from there, I just kept watching that movie, and then Iron Man 2, and then Thor, and then all of that came out. And they started sprinkling the seeds of the future of the MCU. And then from there, eventually, they ended up, having this. I don't even know how many movies altogether they've had, but it's crazy to think that they've had so many movies since this little movie called Iron Man came out. Oh, we got to wrap up, buddy.
Okay. We're losing daylight. Yeah, I think this thing's gonna die at 5%, and we're at 10%, and we were at 23% like 2 minutes ago. But anyway, I thought this was a good first episode.
This is a great first episode.
I don't know what this is gonna sound like. I'm looking at the waveforms here, and I actually do think we're gonna have a little bit of an ASMR thing going on here, because when I'm talking, the right channel is going higher, and then
when I talk,
when you're talking, the left channel is going higher.
That makes sense.
I'm peaking a lot too, so that's going to be interesting. But hey, this was the Rock and Sock Connection. Thank you for listening.
Yes, it's been a good time.